AITA for not stopping my wife from kicking out my cousins after they prank her about me cheating. Yesterday, my cousins and their friends showed up at my house unannounced. Now, I'm not going to turn down family or friends, so I didn't really think twice when they showed up with no warning. It was my 3 cousins, and then they brought along 7 of their friends. So a big group. They all insisted that we should spend the day together. It was one of those days where they all want to hang out, cook some food, drink a little, and just have fun. Honestly, I didn't mind. We're a pretty close family, and I don't mind entertaining when the mood is right. At first, everything was fine. We all chipped in, cooked some food together, played some games, and just relaxed. People were drinking, and the vibe was really chill. My wife, who I'll call Sarah for the sake of this post, was getting a little tipsy herself, but she was having a good time. She wasn't drinking nearly as much as some of the others, but she was definitely in the spirit of things. I, on the other hand, was drinking a bit more than I probably should have. It had been a long week at work, and I just wanted to kick back and enjoy myself. So, everything is going pretty smoothly up until about mid-evening when things take a turn. You know how sometimes certain people just love pranking others? My cousins have always been that way. They think it's hilarious to mess with people, especially when they know it will get a strong reaction. I should have seen it coming, but I was too caught up in the moment. We were all laughing, playing games, and I guess they were plotting their next move. They came up with this April Fool's prank that, in hindsight, was completely ridiculous. Let me tell you, it wasn't one of those harmless pranks you see on YouTube. It wasn't a funny, lighthearted joke. No, it was a prank that involved tricking my wife into thinking I was cheating on her. They got some of their friends, mostly women, and they planted a story that I had been seeing someone else behind my wife's back. The plan was to mess with her, get her upset, and watch her react. To be honest, it was a pretty cruel prank, and I should have seen it coming. But I didn't. Like I said, I was too busy drinking and having a good time, so I didn't notice the shift in the atmosphere. The next thing I know, Sarah comes storming over to where I'm sitting, looking furious. She grabs my arm and asks me in front of everyone, "Are you cheating on me?" I was shocked. I froze. I couldn't even process what she was asking. I've never given her any reason to doubt me. We've been married for 2 years, and I've never even so much as thought about cheating on her. But there she was, asking me this question in front of everyone, and I could tell she was pissed. So of course, I immediately respond with, "What? No, I'm not cheating on you. What are you talking about?" I was completely confused and taken aback. Sarah wasn't buying it though. She wasn't looking for an explanation right then. She just told me to give her my phone. Now, you should know that Sarah is a pretty private person. She's very religious, and she takes our marriage vows seriously. She doesn't believe in cheating, and she's made it clear to me that if I ever betrayed her trust, I would regret it. We've had conversations about fidelity, and I've always promised her that I would never do anything to hurt her. So when she asked for my phone, I didn't hesitate. I handed it over, thinking that once she saw everything was fine, she'd calm down. But that's not what happened. She locked herself in our bedroom for what felt like an eternity, but was probably about half an hour. I was left sitting there, surrounded by my cousins and their friends, wondering what was happening. I felt a mix of panic and disbelief. I knew the prank was bad, but I didn't think it would get this far. I thought maybe it was just some silly thing they did, but now my wife, the woman I love, was questioning everything. My heart was racing, and I kept trying to figure out how I could fix this. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't fix what my cousins had done. It was too late. When Sarah finally came out of the bedroom, her face was pale, and she looked furious. I could tell she'd been crying. My heart sank. She told me, in a voice trembling with anger, that if she ever found out I was cheating on her, I'd regret it. She said, "I don't care if it was a joke. If you ever cheat on me, I'll make you regret it, and I'll show no mercy." At this point, I'm beside myself. I try to explain that it was just a prank, that I wasn't cheating on her, that my cousins and their friends had tricked her. But it didn't matter. She wasn't hearing it. She was done with all of them. She turned to my cousins and their friends, who had followed her into the living room, and said, "Get out. I don't want to hear your explanations. Get out of my house." Now, it was as if a switch had flipped in her, and she wasn't backing down. It wasn't just about the prank anymore. It was about trust, about respect, about feeling betrayed by people who were supposed to be family. Now, here's where I'm really struggling. My cousins and their friends left, and I stayed behind to try to calm Sarah down. But the damage was done. She wasn't angry at me, not really. She was angry at what my cousins had done to her, and I understood why. I would be just as furious if I were in her shoes. However, after things settled a little, my cousins started texting me. They were upset. They thought I should have handled the situation differently. They said that I shouldn't have let Sarah kick them out. They argued that I should have explained to her that it was just a prank and that I shouldn't have let her go off on them like that. To be honest, I couldn't believe what they were saying. I'm sitting here thinking, what the hell? What did you expect me to do? They pulled this cruel prank on my wife, and they think I should just shrug it off and tell her to forgive them? They kept texting me, calling me crazy, telling me that I was being whipped and that I was my wife's slave. They couldn't understand why I wasn't laughing along with them. They thought it was all in good fun. But here's the thing, I don't think it was funny. My wife didn't think it was funny, and I didn't think it was funny either. In the end, I told them that I didn't want them anywhere near my wife or me for a while, at least until things cooled off. I made it clear that what they did wasn't just a harmless joke. It was a serious invasion of trust, and it hurt her deeply. I feel conflicted. Part of me thinks maybe I could have handled it better. Maybe I should have tried harder to explain to Sarah that it was just a prank, but honestly, she wasn't in the mood for explanations. She was hurt, and she had every right to be. The more I think about it, the more I realize my cousins were way out of line, and I'm not sure I should be defending them at all. On the other hand, my cousins are saying that I'm crazy, that I'm letting my wife control everything. I just don't understand why they think I should have just let them off the hook. This isn't a small thing. It was a massive violation of trust. So, AITA for letting my wife kick them out, or was I right to stand by her and protect her from this? Please, let me know what you think.